Alright, welcome to my third video. This is the first time I'm actually on the bike, on my police bike I've been talking about. It's a really nice Sunday evening here in central Kentucky. Destination for my first trip is Versailles, Kentucky. And no, it's not pronounced Versailles, although it's spelled the same way. It goes by Versailles. It's a pretty cool little town, and it's a pretty cool little scenic trip down there. Oh, there's a fire truck. Anyway, a couple updates from my second video. First one is bad news. The Crosley convention up in Wauseon, Ohio that I had talked about has since been canceled, at least in person. They're going to do a virtual show where you vote online and stuff like that we're going to participate in. But as far as actually being there, got canceled this year. First time in, I think, 50, it's been going on for 50 years. At least the club has. Also, a bit of a correction on my last video, which if you were looking at the comments, I mentioned it, but I forgot to talk about the one advantage of the police bike is the tour pack mount. Of course, on the police, they use those to mount their little computer box and stuff. It's not really for the tour pack, but when you go to put your tour pack on there, it bolts right on. So that saves you a couple $100 starting out with a police bike over the Electric Glide Standard. But moving off of those topics, kind of wondered what I wanted to talk about as we took this drive. And it's kind of hard to ignore what's going on in the current news and in our country. And my intent isn't really for this to be a political vlog in any sense, but at the same time it's kind of what's been on my mind, so I thought maybe I'd touch on some things there. Again, we're in central Kentucky, and Friday, I guess it was Friday, my wife took my daughters to the protest there in Frankfurt. The girls wanted to go, and I hadn't really had a chance to talk to them about it until last night at dinner time. I kind of wondered what they thought and what they were thinking about it, what their thought process was about it. I'm neither a Republican or a Democrat. I'm an independent, definitely with some libertarian leanings. The nice thing about that is you don't have to defend your party's stupidity, you know. So I have the ability to criticize when either party is doing something that doesn't make any sense. I think that's one of my main reasons for being independent, is I'd hate to just have to line up for my team all the time. I mean, it isn't sports, but it seems like that's about how it is with the two-party system. So anyway, just so you know that, I'm not coming at it from a, Republican standpoint or a pro-Trump standpoint, but just more of a more independent and just interested in what my kids are thinking about. First off, they were really glad they went. They supported some of their friends that were there and who had invited them to go. And they'd made their own signs. Spent a lot of time doing that. And I kind of wondered, what their motivations were. And one thing I was proud of is in any of their social media accounts, they didn't really make any mention of it. Again, they're 14 and 16 years old. So I was pretty proud of them. And I don't really take any credit for that. If anything, I'm just kind of guilty of, being busy with my own life and worrying about, providing for the family and yada yada every day, and not really paying too much attention to things that don't directly affect me. So that's, I guess, one thing I took away from it for myself is, maybe I need to be a little more empathetic and pay a little bit more attention to other people's lives and what is affecting them. Obviously my daughters are. Maybe I should take a cue there. So that was good. So anyway, it was a good discussion with the daughters, and that helped me to kind of clarify my thinking a little bit, and think about back when I was younger, how we responded to things, and through art and through statements. So we're coming into Versailles again. If I had my GPS on, they'd be calling it Versailles. Get that in my screen or not? I think up here on the right is the little courthouse. Looks like a lot of towns and small towns in Kentucky and Indiana where the buildings are probably from the 1800s. They've been repurposed for other things, but they're all lined up on the main street. It's like we're getting ready to cross Court Street here. It's in Woodford County, Kentucky. If you're from Kentucky, it's a big deal what county you're from. More so than Indiana. We know what county we're from, but it's not in Kentucky. It's more like that's part of who you are, is when you say what county you're from, where that's not really common to say that in Indiana. You might mention the nearest city or something like that. Up here in a couple miles is the Bluegrass Parkway, which if you head west, you'll get to Lawrenceburg, or if you head east, you'll get to Lexington, which I might do that. I might run east on there and then come back home that way. Bike's running good. A little over 7,000 miles. I think I bought it with about 3,700 back in February. Then I quickly put 800 miles on it driving it home from Florida. I took a one-way ticket to Orlando, and the dealership came and picked me up at the airport. Got the paperwork cleared up, and then drove it all the way back. A little over 800 miles. That was a good test ride. I came home with a list of things to change on it to make it more comfortable, more ergonomic. One main thing is these handlebars. If you see them, they're 16-inch apes. It's the only modification on the bike that I didn't do myself. I didn't want to get into that. Between the heated grips and the cruise control and the throttle being by wire, I just didn't feel real confident in moving all those controls myself. Of course, then you also got to extend all the brake cables and those things I just mentioned. You have to put extensions on them as well. So I had a custom bike shop in Lexington do that. All the other modifications I've done myself. I guess we could talk a little bit about that. I was going to do a video on that subject. Maybe I still will. But the handlebars were the big thing, and I'm 6'3", and everybody says you want to shoot for having your arms be more or less level with the ground. And mine actually might be a little bit above level, but it kind of depends on how straight up I'm sitting. If I have good posture, I'd say they're level. Other thing I did was I put these highway pegs on here. So I get my legs out straight. I don't use them all the time. A lot of guys I know just kind of constantly have their feet on them. I just kind of use them as needed. Of course, I added the tour pack. Mentioned that. I painted that myself. I painted my inner fairing here. I did that with a single stage urethane with a hardener and a birch white. Had that paint mixed. I switched out the rear shocks. This is an 18 model, and it has the emulsion, I think it's called it. Basically, it's the one that has the knob on it you crank and adjust the rebound on, or the preload, I guess it is. And maybe I didn't give it a chance, but I just could never quite get that the way I liked it. It just was kind of, if it was comfortable, the bike sagged so much that I was scraping the floorboards even more than I normally scrape them. So I kind of ditched that, and I just bought a set of air shocks from a little bit older Harley. I'm speeding here a little bit, and I got them for cheap, so and so far I like those better. The only thing I really wish is if I could just get the rear end off the ground a little bit more. I mean, I stuck with the 13-inch, which is the standard, not lowered at all height. But I mean, I think 14-inch would be great. 13 and a half, I think, though, is all you can safely do without having to worry about your exhaust pipes interfering with your rear axle nut. So the thing is, it's like really good 13 and a half and 14-inch shocks are, I mean, they're $800 and $900. So for now, these $100 used shocks are going to be what I'm going to use. And take you guys up by the Kentucky Castle, they call it. It's not old, obviously. A guy built it, just some guy built it. So looks like the gate's open, so let's check her out. Hotel, restaurant, and event center. There's the Kentucky Castle. I've never been in it. Telling her I was just turning around, not visiting. Never been in it. I've been invited to it. One of the bands I like to see play live was playing there one night, and we just couldn't go. I think I was on second shift at the time. Car coming. Different seat, of course. I don't have the pogo seat on here anymore. We went with the seat from Harley. I'm trying to think the name of it at the moment, but it's their best touring seat that doesn't have the heated stuff inside of it. So, two other modifications I did were put the extended brake pedal and the extended shifter on it, so that kind of get my legs out there more forward, not so cramped up. And I put longer ones on there that, let's say if I had lower fairings, they wouldn't work. Did want to give a shout out to a couple of the motor vloggers on YouTube that I like to watch. One's John Maxwell. I don't know if you guys caught him or if you follow him, but he put out a video this week. He's well known as a Harley tech and does a lot of videos on maintenance and modification and reviews, oftentimes filmed at the dealer that he works at. Well, he's been doing that for a couple years on YouTube, and he just announced this week that he's started his own shop. So that was pretty cool. I think it's called Maxwell's Motorcycle Company or something like that. So he's going to continue the YouTube thing, but working out of his own shop. We're coming back through Versailles now. So that was pretty cool. Also, a fellow Kentuckian, and honestly I don't know if he lives in Kentucky or southern Indiana, but he does a lot of his videos in Kentucky and Florence and Maysville area, and that's the Chronicles of Flynch, which I'd recommend. Both of those guys are on my, if you're on my channel and look at my links to other channels, both of them are there. But Flynch's son is a blacksmith. I mean, he's a young guy, I think just kind of getting started in his first job as a blacksmith, but he's been working out of his dad's garage, blacksmithing up until now. And he posted a really cool video this week where his son made him a sissy bar for his Road King. And I mean, he did it in true blacksmith style. I mean, it was quite the undertaking how he did it. Bent it, riveted it to the bracket that he had made previously. So that was pretty cool. So check him out if you haven't. He's a kind of a libertarian-minded guy like myself. I like his videos. And I believe he said his background is he worked for a couple of well-known motorcycle magazines as an editor. Easy Riders and one called Iron Horse. I think he maybe had a bigger role in Iron Horse than I know about, at least with Easy Riders magazine. But I'd like to be able to talk to him more about that. It's a kind of interesting background. So one town I go through up here that I didn't really mention as I was going through it was Midway, Kentucky. We will get through this together, it says. Oh, this is very cool. They've got an old style drugstore here with a soda fountain. Family Heirloom, that's the restaurant we've gone to a few times. Mezzo Italian, we like that one. The Goose Gander. It seems like a new name to that one. I thought that used to be called something else. Darlin Jeans. Been there before. And this one here is fairly new. The Brown Barrel. They've got a little bit of liquor you can buy there. People eating outside. I'm gonna try to pull a Yui here, not fall over in these rocks. Made it. Hope Jerry Palladino doesn't watch this. I wasn't using my friction zone quite right there, but I was using my rear brake like I'm supposed to. He's another guy I would recommend watching. I really, especially if you have an electric glide, he's a retired police motorcycle training guy, and he still does a lot of training and stuff, and uses electric glide and teaches you the low speed handling and stuff. I kind of got onto him because I was interested in those police rodeo videos. I think that stuff's pretty cool. But with that, hope you guys enjoyed it. Any questions, hit me up in the comments. Later.